Hey everyone, Chimera45 here, and welcome to another review of Dragon Ball Super. This week it will be on episode 12. So let's get right into it. Starts off with a review of last week's episode and the opening title screen. The universe will shatter. Clash. Destroyer versus Super Saiyan God. So, you'll note, if you've been watching these videos, you'll notice a trend with what I'm about to say. The episode opens with Goku and Beerus staring each other down. I believe I have started off these videos that way for the past 3 weeks, possibly even 4. But it's pretty much every episode opens with them just having a stare down from last week's episode. As they're having their little stare down, the Z gang that jumped into that, well, I guess technically it is a spaceship now because it is going up into space. So I was right in saying it was a spaceship originally. The rest of the Z gang are trying to keep up with the battle, but the energy from Goku and Beerus is like literally causing the particles in the air to be energized, so it's causing all kinds of electrical interference with Bulma's machine. And Beerus gets annoyed with them being there, so him and Goku fly up even further into the atmosphere. Now, before anyone asks, how is Goku able to breathe in space? Don't forget, right now, he is a god, so I believe that he is immune to the effects of nature and things like that. I don't believe he needs to breathe at this current moment. I believe. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so for this moment, I believe he is immune to that. So down on the ground, Vegeta is still literally just staring up into the sky. I don't know how he's able to keep up with what's going on. But we have a little funny moment with Whis, where Whis shows up and he creates an image with his staff and is like, hey, look at this, it's like you're right there at the battle without having to dodge the blasts. And Vegeta just keeps staring up into the sky. He doesn't even bother looking at Whis' staff image or even trying to acknowledge Whis at all, which is funny. So up in space, Goku is looking around for Beerus because Beerus zoomed around behind him. And Goku's like, I could have sworn he was right there. And Beerus tries to do the neck chop to Goku, I guess, in payback for Goku neck chopping him. And Goku actually manages to block it. And he's like, come on, Beerus, you can't get me with the same trick twice. You should know that. And Beerus is like, well, I guess I do now. And Beerus promises, alright, no more cheap shots, no more dirty tricks. And Goku's like, cool. And they split apart like two balls of fire, literally. The imagery in this episode is kind of really cool. The animation with the actual characters is a little wonky at times, but the overall imagery is really cool in this episode. So Goku starts powering up with his typical scream, and then we see Beerus, he actually starts powering up too. Remember at the end of last week's episode, he was like, okay, I'm done babying you. I'm going to go at it like I mean it now. Goku screams and Beerus screams, and this episode is very Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Z-esque, I guess that's the best way to say, because there's a lot of screaming and powering up in this episode before anything gets done. So, after Beerus and Goku scream and power up, they charge at each other and they clash fists, and a shockwave spreads out from the collision. They're creating so much force with their impacts that they're creating these shockwaves that can literally be felt throughout the universe. Not just in their portion of the galaxy, not just in a small little section of the universe, the entire universe, including the afterlife, including hell, including everything, can feel these shockwaves. And Elder Kai is like, the universe itself is going to be destroyed from these shockwaves after maybe 2 more, 3 at the maximum. But Goku and Beerus are just going at it. They don't even care. And it's just not a very good situation. So Supreme Kai actually tries contacting Goku and Beerus to ask them to call off the fight, but Goku and Beerus just power up even more and completely ignore him, and they clash fists again, and once again another ripple effect, and it's fell all over Earth. We see a image in space of these meteors that just start to explode from the shockwave. Elder Kai and Supreme Kai actually have to cover themselves from the effects of it. And we get a funny little moment with Hercule, who's on the phone with his PR people, I guess, and they're trying to get him to explain what's going on, like where these shockwaves are coming from, because he's the Lord and Savior of the Earth. And he calls Gohan, trying to figure out where they are. And Gohan's like, we're in trouble right now. And Hercule looks up and he sees the Capsule Corp ship about to fall on him. But right before it does, Whis actually steps in and stops it with his staff. And Hercule asks him, so are we safe? And Whis is like, no, not yet. This fight isn't over yet. So up in space, Goku's breathing hard, and Beerus is actually breathing hard too. He's kind of having to catch his breath. But then he gets a smile on his face, and he's like, it's just like my dream predicted. You could actually prove to be a worthy rival for myself. And Goku's like, thank you, Lord Beerus, but I owe all of this to you. So consider this next attack my thank you. So he powers up, and Beerus powers up, and their energy actually takes the forms of dragons. Beerus is purple, Goku's is red. And the dragons roar at each other before diving back into their respective owners, and they power up from it even more. Kind of reminded me of Yu Yu Hakusho when Yusuke was powering up in the Dark Tournament and his energy took on the form of a phoenix, and the phoenix flew around the arena and came back into Yusuke. Kind of reminded me of that. Yu Yu Hakusho is one of my favorite animes of all time. Tied up there with DBZ. I love it. Maybe I'll do a review on it one day. So Goku and Beerus power up, and then they power up even more. Like I said, there's a lot of screaming and powering up and slow motion shots in this episode. So they charge at each other, and here comes the slow motion, like I just said. And when they collide fists, it's just a white line goes across the screen. And they collide fists again, and just another white line. And there's no shockwaves. Supreme Kai's like, what's going on? Why isn't there any shockwaves? And Elder Kai explains that Goku is managing to hit Beerus' fist or elbow or whatever they're hitting each other with at the time at the precise angle needed to cancel out the shockwave. So Goku, in just a matter of, let's say this fight is taking a couple of hours at most. Goku went from getting completely stomped on by Beerus to managing to cancel out his punch, more or less, to prevent it from destroying the universe. Goku is an amazing fighter. I just wish he had a bit more common sense sometimes. But then he wouldn't be Goku. So Goku's like, wow, I'm really glad that this is working out. I wanted to perfect it on the second clash, but my timing was a little off. And Beerus is like, no way. This son of a bitch is actually experimenting with new techniques during his fight with me? And that really pisses Beerus off, so they start going at it more and more. But every single time, Goku's able to cancel out the shockwave. And during the middle of it, Beerus is like, wow, so even this divine power that you're experiencing right now isn't enough for you. You really want to push yourself to higher heights. And Goku's like, you're damn right I do. And goes to punch Beerus. Beerus dodges it, but gets a nick on his cheek. And Beerus is like, okay, and creates another one of those spheres of destruction. That's what I like to call them. And he creates one even bigger than he did in the last one. And Goku, of course, powers up his Kamehameha. And Beerus is like, alright, witness my real power, bitch. And he just throws it. Spoiler alert, it's really not Beerus' real power. And Goku answers with his power, with his God Kamehameha, as it's called when he's in his Super Saiyan God form. And they collide. And Beerus' sphere of destruction is pushing the Kamehameha wave back. And Goku's like, man, I guess I finally peaked on the power of the Super Saiyan God transformation. Too bad, because I was really enjoying this fight with you, Lord Beerus. But you're the strongest that there is out there, I guess. And Beerus is like, well, this was a good effort, Goku. And it seems that Goku's about to bite the dust. And this attack is still creating huge amounts of shockwaves that are threatening to destroy the universe. We actually see a planet disintegrate from the shockwaves that their energy beam struggle is creating. And we get a funny scene with Elder Kai and Supreme Kai, but you just watch the episode if you really want to see it, but it was kind of funny. But then, all of a sudden, just as Goku is about to get overwhelmed from the attack, the Kamehameha wave light shines even brighter around the sphere. And Beerus is like, how is this possible? And we see Goku's Kamehameha wave actually push Beerus' sphere of destruction back. And Goku's like, the Super Saiyan God power just spoke to me. And it told me to just keep pushing even higher. and he just powers up, and Beerus powers up, and they just push their energy beams against each other harder and harder, and literally just not an explosion, but just a really bright light starts emanating from the epicenter of the beam struggle, and it illuminates both Goku and Beerus, and then illuminates pretty much the entire universe. Even Supreme Kai and Elder Kai can see it clear as day from their planet. And the episode ends with the narrator saying, "Are Supreme Kai and Elder Kai right? When this bright white light vanishes, will there be nothing left but a void of nothingness?" And that's how the episode ends. Overall, this was a good episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's very Dragon Ball Z-esque, just like I said, with the fact that you just got a lot of screaming and powering up in this episode. Not a lot of... You did get some action, but it was mostly screaming and powering up and seeing who has the bigger energy aura. But there was a lot of good moments too, especially between Goku and Beerus. How Beerus is like, you're not satisfied with this divine power. You want to push yourself even further. Like, Beerus does not understand. That's just what Goku does. If Goku got unlimited power, if Goku literally became the strongest being in the universe, could take out anyone, he would still be training every single day to push himself even further. If Goku had no limits, he would still be pushing himself to try to find limits to break. That is just who Goku is. That is what he does. And it's just really shown well in this episode. Just overall... good episode. Like I said, the animation with the actual characters themselves was a little wonky at times, but the imagery, the dragons, the energy dragons and all that, it was just really cool, a really unique looking episode with the imagery, but it's just a lot of screaming as well. So this is actually going on a little longer than I'd like for them to, but I had a little bit more to talk about for this review episode. So I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you are going to go check out Dragon Ball Super if you haven't already. It is a really good show. It's picking up pace now. It's going to lose a little bit of pace, unfortunately, with the next arc, but it does get better as the series progresses, I promise. So yeah, I will see you next week for my review of episode 13. I will see you then.